Acts 7, it was a teaching tool heavy lesson, and so all of my teaching aids are in our youth group classroom and they're not with me right now, so we are just going to do the best we can. The beginning of Acts 7 is where Stephen is going through and he's reminding the Jewish people of their heritage, of their history, and then he brings it forward to the time of Christ and he's explaining the scriptures. And something that we kind of kept running up against last week was his charge is serious, and he's facing the Sanhedrin, he's facing this crowd of hostile people, but his concern is explaining his position. His concern is explaining the truth so that they also might be saved. And I just think it's so interesting that he's choosing to spend these last final moments doing what he spent his life doing, or at least this part of his life. He was concerned with the people that were against him coming to a knowledge of the truth. And I just think that's so beautiful. So some of the things that we had talked about, we kind of reviewed what we had learned in our study in Genesis with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. We call those the patriarchs. Actually, other people call them the patriarchs, but that was one of the things we went over. We reviewed Joseph and how he went down to Egypt, and then the 10 plagues. Later, with Moses, we reviewed all of that and how God called Moses. We reviewed just a lot of the history in Genesis and Exodus that we had done earlier last year in preparation to understand what Stephen is talking about. And then we kind of left off, and what we'll be studying tonight is from about verse 50 on. So he brings them through their history, how they did kill the prophets. That is part of their history. He mentions David, and then all the way up through the idea that God doesn't reside in a temple built by human hands. And then he's talking about how they always resist the Holy Spirit. And then in verse 34 is when we have the stoning of Stephen, which we will be covering tonight. So if you've missed the last 2 weeks, we hope to see you at youth group. Have a great day.